there, and welcome back to another episode of Just Say Something podcast. This is Philip Clark, and I am the CEO here at Just Say Something. And before we get started, as always, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our weekly podcast. Today, we're going to talk about opioids and our community. What prevention looks like at home. So this isn't a faraway problem or something happens or it's something that's happened elsewhere. The opioid crisis continues to hit communities across South Carolina, including right here in Greenville County, where fentanyl-involved deaths have risen dramatically over the last few years. According to the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control, fentanyl is now involved in more than 2/3 of overdose deaths statewide. That statistic alone tells us that this conversation is urgent. But here's the part that gives us hope. Prevention actually works. The more we talk openly, whether at home, school, in our neighborhoods, and through community partnerships like Power Collective and Compass of Carolina, the safer our kids and families become. Prevention isn't about fear. It's about information, connection, and consistent reminders that choices matter and support exists. Let's start with fentanyl, because it is the driving force behind the spike in overdose deaths nationwide. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. The Drug Enforcement Administration, the DEA, reports that as little as 2 milligrams, roughly the size of a few grains of salt, can be lethal. And what's even more frightening is that fentanyl is now showing up in places parents don't expect, including counterfeit pills designed to look like legitimate prescription medications. Many teens believe they're taking something harmless, a Xanax bar, a Percocet, maybe even something they got from a friend of a friend. But DEA testing shows that 7 out of every 10 counterfeit pills now contain a potentially deadly dose of fentanyl. These counterfeit pills are not coming from pharmacies. They're coming from unregulated sources, often sold through Snapchat, Instagram, and other online platforms that kids use every day. And because fentanyl has no taste or smell, there's no way for a teenager or an adult to know what is inside that pill. This is why we keep saying the real danger isn't a child seeking out hard drugs. It's a child thinking that they're taking something safe or mild that ends up being deadly. One of the most heartbreaking realities about the current opioid crisis is how deceptive it has become. The CDC warns that the rise in fentanyl isn't just connected to traditional opioids like heroin. It is now being pressed into pills that imitate Adderall, oxycodone, and even sleep medications. Teens are turning to these counterfeit pills because they believe they will help them cope with stress, anxiety, or academic pressure. But these pills they're getting aren't regulated, measured, or manufactured safely. They're pressed with unknown powders, filters, and other substances coming from illegal labs. Here in the upstate, law enforcement agencies have repeatedly reported pill seizures containing fentanyl that look identical to authentic prescription medications. This creates one of the most dangerous situations parents have ever faced. Their kids think they're taking a legitimate pill when they're ingesting something potentially lethal. It's not experimental drug use that's killing teens. It's misinformation and access. One of the most impactful forms of prevention happens inside the home, and parents are often surprised at how simple these steps are. Safe storage is the first step. The American Academy of Pediatrics and the CDC both recommend that any prescription medication, especially pain medication, be kept locked away, not just placed in a cabinet. Teens are incredibly resourceful, and most families underestimate how curious kids can be about pills, especially during times of stress or boredom. Safe disposal is equally important. Most people don't realize that leaving unused medication in the home, even if you never touch it, creates a major risk. That's why events like National Prescription Drug Take-Back Day, which the DEA coordinates nationwide, are so important. Here in Greenville County, Just Say Something works directly with local partners every April and October to offer safe, no questions asked disposal sites. Last year alone, Take Back Day removed more than 640,000 pounds of medication from households across the United States. A key factor the CDC identifies as one of the strongest protections against accidental overdose. Now, let's talk about the part many families worry about. What do you actually say to your kids about opioids and counterfeit pills without scaring them or causing a shutdown? The most effective approach, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, is to stick to information, keep the tone calm, and avoid exaggeration. Kids respond to honesty and logic. You can say things like, "There are pills out there right now that look real but aren't. Some of them have fentanyl in them, and that's what's causing a lot of deaths, even in upstate South Carolina. I want you to know that if you ever feel stressed or pressured or curious, you can come to me and we'll figure it out together." This kind of message tells your child, this is real, it happens here, you are not in trouble, I am a safe place to talk. Parents can also remind kids that it's never safe to take any pill that didn't come directly from their own doctor or pharmacist, not from a friend, not from a classmate, and not from someone they meet online. One of the strengths of our region is that we don't face these challenges alone. The Power Collective, funding to continue into year 3, brings together schools, nonprofits, faith leaders, counselors, and prevention organizations, including Just Say Something, to address substance use, mental health, and youth safety with a coordinated, community-driven approach. This collaboration helps ensure that families across Greenville County get consistent messaging, accessible education, and better prevention tools. Another key partner is Compass of Carolina, which provides mental health counseling, family support, and therapeutic services that addresses the emotional roots of substance use. When kids are struggling with anxiety, depression, or trauma, they're more vulnerable to experimenting with substances or turning to friends for solutions. By connecting families to Compass of Carolina earlier, before the crisis, parents strengthen protective factors that keep kids safer. Community partners matter because prevention is strongest when families, schools, and local organizations all reinforce the same message: you are not alone, and help is available. The opioid crisis isn't something that's happening in the shadows. It's affecting families right here in the upstate. But we are not powerless. Prevention happens at home through open conversations, safe storage, and safe disposal. It happens in our community through programs like Power Collective and through ongoing support from Compass of Carolina. And it happens through national efforts like Take It Back Day that make it easier to eliminate unused medications from homes. If you're listening today, I hope this episode gives you the tools and confidence to have conversations that protect your family, not out of fear, but out of love, connection, and knowledge. Remember, we are here to help you every step of the way. Don't forget to follow Just Say Something on social media to keep up with our programs, events, and ways to get involved. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe and follow the Just Say Something podcast. We're on YouTube and all major podcast platforms, including Audible, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.